Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99 back on the fight front once again. Just want to do a video on Keith Thurman versus Josesito Lopez, man. Josesito Lopez. Quick thoughts on the fight. Thurman, he pulled out the majority decision, as you know, but on the real, I have to give Josesito Lopez a lot of credit on what he was able to do. But I honestly had Thurman winning the fight 8-4. Some people had it 7-5, which they could argue it. I could see that. But one of the judges, he actually had it a draw. And that just shows you, man, that Thurman, he got to watch his ass, man. Thurman really has to watch out because Thurman's boxing, it isn't convincing enough that all the judges are going to have you ahead, with all that movement and countering. If they see you hurt in certain situations and then they see you moving, referees, they're going to judge, not referees, but judges, they're going to gauge that. They're going to look at that. So he should know that anyway, as much as he mentioned Floyd. Floyd, he nearly got robbed against Oscar and Canelo. And, everybody always says Floyd runs. So, Keith Thurman, he should know that by now. So, when Keith is on that back foot trying to stay out of harm's way, that can be viewed in several different lights, which I'll get to in a minute. But real quick, just looking at the fight, Keith Thurman to start off, he started off pretty solid the first half. Almost looked like he didn't really miss a step. First round, he was establishing a good jab. He had a nice jab in the first round. He was using the good movement that he always does. Lopez mostly was just kind of following Keith around, following him around the ring, not really even cutting the ring off or stalking him. He was just kind of following him around. And Thurman, he started to open up with the right hand a little bit more. I could tell he was getting comfortable. And then when the second round came, Thurman, he started countering a little bit more with the right hand and some heavy hands. So whenever most got into an exchange, he landed a big left hook that dropped Lopez. And Thurman, I'd say, if he was smart at that moment, he should have went on and closed the show. Like I said, in my previous video, just go ahead and make the statement, close the show. But, Thurman, he continued to box from the outside, using a lot of movement, keeping Lopez resetting a lot, which was good. All that was good movement. But think about it, man. Josesito Lopez, he been up here before. I mean, he's been in there with big dogs like Canelo. So, you gotta kind of wonder what Thurman is going to show Lopez, as far as skill-wise. I mean, Thurman is talented now, but don't get me wrong. Somebody like Lopez, he's not really going to come in there respecting him too much. And I don't think, even after the knockdown, Lopez really respected his power. I don't think the power was really there after that. I think that left hook that dropped Lopez was just kind of like an eye-opener. It kind of woke him up, it just kind of caught him off guard. Because after that, he got up. And, Lopez, he started landing some good shots. He started landing some jabs here and there every time Thurman would move around. And I think around 5 or 6, he really started to wake up. He really started to kind of wake up whenever Thurman, he started to slow down a little bit. And then in round 7, man, that's whenever Lopez, he came in and Thurman tried to land a big overhand right on him. And he caught him. He caught Thurman. And then after that, Thurman, he was nearly out on his feet, man. And I'm not going to lie, while he was dancing around the ring, wobbling everywhere, if Lopez could have landed like 3-4 more shots, if he caught Thurman a little bit more stationary, I think the referee would have stopped it because the referee was really looking. He was looking close to Thurman, when he started taking shots on the rope. But I say Thurman, he did a good job of kind of moving his head and, running across the ring and running from corner to corner because he was really taking a lot of the heat off the shots. So, he wasn't getting the full impact. But just imagine if that was one of these hard hitters out there. You know who I'm getting at. But Keith went back on the bike, in the next round, round 8. But Lopez, he just continued to chase him down and kind of crack him with, hard lefts and rights, man. But the thing is, Lopez, he really started to come on strong, making Keith fight a little bit more instead of box, And Keith Thurman, I think he was really uncomfortable in those next few rounds, like 8, 9, and 10, I think he was still boxing smart. And, I don't really think it was rust, in my opinion, the way he was looking. I really think that something in him was kind of exposed. I think he felt a little bit uncomfortable because once you think about it, in the Sean Porter fight, Sean, he applied the same type of he applied heavy pressure. It was different than Lopez. He applied different pressure, but, Keith Thurman was still able to move and counter the same way he was doing Saturday night. And the thing is, Porter smothers a lot of his punches. He smothers a lot of the heavy shots. So, he was kind of able to weather the storm. But at the same time, he was still kind of weathering it the same way and countering. But somebody like Lopez, he was kind of keeping the distance. So, he could get full extension on his punches. You know, he had the height and the reach, so he was able to kind of lob his bigger shots and get full extension on the end of his shots. So that extended power, I think it was kind of making Keith feel a little bit uncomfortable at times. So I think that wasn't something he was expecting. And after the fight, he said that too. He underestimated his height. I don't know how he underestimated his height as tall as Lopez is. He's taller than him and he's longer. So he should have knew that staying on the end of the punches of somebody like Lopez, who has a little bit of pop, it was gonna have some effect on him, you know, especially whenever Thurman's legs start to run out. But Thurman, by the last few rounds, he was really starting to still use more lateral movement, while Lopez, he kept applying effective aggression and making Keith move against his will. Now, back to that, you know, running that the judges were looking at. He has to understand that the judges, they felt that Lopez was applying effective aggression and he was making Keith move against his will because, you know, Keith was in danger. So one of the judges on the card, you know, he basically gave Lopez that whole last half of the fight because he felt that, you know, Lopez was really dictating the pace. You know, Keith Thurman would tell you I'm moving, I'm boxing, I'm using lateral movement, which he was doing in the first half of the fight. But after he got hurt, he was really trying to avoid the power. And in one judge's eye, Lopez was basically moving him around. You know, some judges look at that now. Judges will look at that kind of stuff because they're saying, oh, he's scared of him. You know, that's how they see it in their eyes. So he's actually running. He's actually not, you know, trying to box and move as much as he wants to. Now he's actually moving because of this effective aggression. So that's how one of the judges see it in my eyes. So I felt like that judge gave, you know, Lopez, you know, an even number of the rounds. But when we got to the championship rounds, I still had to give it to Keith because I felt like Keith was still doing enough. He wasn't looking too good as far as, like, you know, sharp, but he was still being smart as far as his boxing. You know, he was still trying to land the most punches, which he did. And I have to give Keith a little bit of credit, you know, because he was fighting off of will. And, you know, like I said, I think he did win it. But Lopez, he definitely won the scrap. You know, he definitely won the battle in this one. I feel like he found a new fire here, and he definitely won a lot of fans that night. But like I said, you know, I've already followed his career, was a fan of him a little bit. But I always just felt like Lopez, he never really, you know, would hit that next level. But to him, I don't really think that this fight was something that really made him nervous. I think he just came in there a little rusty himself, you know, against somebody like Keith Thurman, and he was able to expose some things in Keith Thurman because, like I said, I don't think Keith Thurman was really, really rusty. You know, I think he just got he had some holes in his game, and those holes, man, if he was fighting maybe like another level of tier of opponent like Jesse Vargas, I think Jesse Vargas would have pulled the upset because Jesse Vargas, you know, I consider him a B fighter, but I think Thurman's team, they considered him a B fighter too because they wanted something below a B fighter, but you see what a C-level fighter did to him. So, you know, they did the right thing, man, by not fighting somebody like Jesse Vargas. But, man, just looking at this whole fight, man, I think that if Lopez, if he would have started cutting the ring off a little bit more, and there was times whenever Keith would just kind of circle with his hands down out to his left, if he would have just cut the distance off and caught him with like a big right hand, he could have knocked Thurman out, man. I really think so. But Keith, man, this kind of shows you that he's just kind of he's a boxer. He has heart, but at the same time, you know, he's so much of a mental fighter that I feel like that if he gets the right dog in there, if he gets that right dog in there with the IQ, you know, they're gonna break him. They're really gonna break him, man. Because I feel like if he can find somebody that can really maul him, but at the same time mix it up and keep the distance, you know, they're gonna break him, man. And which leads me to Errol Spence. You know, this would be the fight to really see if Errol Spence has got that dog, at the same time the IQ to nullify whatever Keith Thurman's got. And now we see why Keith Thurman has been avoiding this fight, and he might not want this fight in 2020. He might actually want this fight in 2021 after that performance, you know. And I think that's what he might be doing because everything we saw Saturday night, I really believe that Errol Spence, he would have an answer for. You know, it'd be a real good fight. And honestly, I think that Thurman, he would start strong, and he might drop Spence once. I give him that, but I think Spence would get right back up, and I think he would still break his game plan, and I think he would break the body and break the will, man. That's just being real, because Spence, he cuts the ring off. He doesn't just follow you around. He'll cut the ring off, and he's patient with his shots. You know, a lot of people don't understand that, but he definitely throws more than Josesito Lopez, and he's stronger. You know, that's why I really feel like Thurman, he can't do this fight in 2020, man, because, you know, if he fights Pacquiao, like he said, he wants the Pacquiao fight. Even Pacquiao might get to him before Errol Spence. So if Pacquiao gets to him, you know, just with his, you know, with his experience and his skill, you know, that would go ahead and, you know, shut the upset up, and, you know, we can move on. But say if he was to get past Pacquiao, I don't think that it's really hard to say if Thurman would win in 2020. He probably wouldn't win it until like December 2020, you know, because after seeing that fight, there's a lot of things, not just rust-wise, but just like defense-wise, that I think somebody like Errol could capitalize on, you know. And I think, you know, Keith Thurman at 30 years old, he's a smart fighter, but at the same time, there's a lot of things I think he does just kind of get set in his ways, because even the way he was kind of blocking some of Lopez's shots, I think that somebody with heavier hands like Errol Spence, he would get through. You know, I think he would definitely get through with heavier shots on him, man. But yeah, man, it was definitely a good competitive fight, you know, on Josesito Lopez's part. You know, I give him a lot of credit. You know, he's already banged it out with the big dogs, like I said, Maidana, Canelo, and them. So he really gave Thurman a test, man. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, man. Do you think it was rust, or do you think it was exposure on Keith Thurman's half, man? Yeah, just let me know in the comment section. And when do you think the Errol Spence fight will happen now, or do you think it will? You know, but I think it'll happen, like I said, but it ain't gonna happen in 2020, man. I don't think it's gonna happen in 2020, yeah. But yeah, overall, good fight. You know, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm actually gonna be doing a more in-depth discussion with my man Boxing P on the Jab podcast, you know, coming this Wednesday. But make sure y'all subscribe here on Combo Breaker 99 and on the YouTube channel, The Jab Effect. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.